Wake up and smell the coffee, Mr. LaRusso.
Extreme situations require extreme measures.
Yeah, it's probably about it.
Yo, what's guys, about the Cobra Kai Karate. Welcome back to a brand new video. Today we're here to talk about, as a lot of people proclaim as the greatest movie of all time, The Godfather. Now, I have seen this movie for a long time. I think I first watched it maybe when I was about 13 or 14 years old, and I think I liked it for a lot of other different reasons. I like it now. I think I liked it more just because of the cool characters and songs and pretty much that. I think I like it now just because of how beautiful the movie it truly is, and and obviously still the characters and stuff. Yeah, this movie to me I think is just nearly perfect. I think it's, first off, it's just a historical film because it's the first movie in ever that really brought the cinema vibe, the cinema of arcs and story and plot and everything like that to a masterpiece extension. We never seen the movie do that prior to 1972. People can bring up movies, I don't really even know. I mean, I know a lot of people like to say Frankenstein, but that, I don't really think that really showed as much because it was made in the 30s, but I watched a lot of movies before 1972, the 60s. I think it was a lot more about Westerns. You just never really got to see the arcs to like a masterpiece extension before The Godfather. And if you even hear the making of this movie, how great that is. There's actually a TV show called The Offer, which is about the making of The Godfather, which is just another great story. So I just think this movie is a near perfect movie. Is it the greatest movie of all time? It's really hard to tell. I just think the greatest movie of all time is not your favorites. It's a whole different story. I think greatest movie of all time needs to have everything you want from a movie for every single person. I think greatest movie of all time needs to be, first off, it needs to be a masterpiece. It has to have the arcs, the story. It also needs to have a great soundtrack. It needs to be beautifully filmed, beautifully acted. It has to age well. And I also think it has to have something that can appeal to everyone. I don't think The Godfather has something that can appeal to everyone. There's a lot of people out there that will find Godfather boring and whatever, which we'll hear a lot. So for me, the greatest movie of all time might belong to either Back to the Future or Forrest Gump. I know a lot of people bring up Schindler's List and Godfather. I think the movies are better, but the issue is I just don't know if that could appeal to everyone. But I'm 2 minutes in, I'm barely talking about the movie. Let's stick on topic to Godfather. So, the movie is just so good. You started off, and I know this movie is focused, a lot of people makes it's more focused on Vito Corleone, Marlon Brando's character, but I think this movie is, and also Godfather 2, is a lot more about Michael Corleone and his arc, because you see him kind of feeling disconnected from the family and not wanting to go into that business. But he served in the military, which his family disagreed with and did not like. But when someone goes and tries to kill, the Godfather, Vito, which by the way, he's just such a good character. He's so intimidating. He seems very wise. He seems like a good man, but he can also be an evil man. He's calculated, and I just think he is such an interesting character. And Marlon Brando kind of leaves a little bit of vagueness in his acting and dialogue, where you never really know what he's gonna do or what he's gonna say, which makes it, every time he's on screen, makes your eyes just stare at him. It makes you just want to watch it. When an actor can make a character where you feel like a desire to watch him every time they're on screen, like their screen presence is just so huge, you can't take your eyes off them. Very few actors can do that, and he does in this movie, where even in rewatches, he still brings that when you rewatch it. So I love that aspect of the movie with him. And all the subplots and all the side characters just blend in very, very well, and they're all interesting in their own way, and they all add to the story. The brother Sonny, you get to see stuff with him, and you get to see stuff with the sister and his husband. You get to see a lot of stuff with Michael, and Michael, I think, is just such a good arc this movie, because he, like someone goes to attempt to kill his father, and now he's trying to stand up and trying to do what's right after being belittled by the police, and he goes off there, and you get the scene, which is one of the great scenes of all time, where he shoots the police officer and everyone. The build up, the tension, you can see in Al Pacino's acting, which I think that was the action, I think that was his first scene he filmed in the movie, Al Pacino. And this is Al Pacino's first film where he broke out to be, in my opinion, one of the greatest, if not the greatest actor of all time. So, and then you get to see him, he has to leave the country, go start with a new wife, and you see him trying, you see him actually growing into his new life, but then they go off and kill her. And, I think the Mexico scenes are very beautiful, but this is my only problem with the movie. I just don't think it feels like a big gap. I feel like that storyline before and after it adds a lot to Michael's character, but doesn't add to the story and the other stuff. Like, a lot of subplots fit well in the story. That one is where I think the pacing is a bit not necessarily slow, but kind of just unbalanced. I feel like that going off in like a whole 30-40 minutes, hour subplot about Michael, and then she dies and he goes back, you don't really feel anything there, like his wife there, what happened there. You don't really feel anything that adds to the story. It definitely added to Michael's character, absolutely. But I just feel like having an hour stretch, when you rewatch that, having to go through those hour scenes, that seems a little pointless in the story when you have other stuff going on. But when Michael gets back and he becomes the Godfather and he starts to take more heed to things, and I just think it's so good to see the side characters and him finding out about stuff. The dialogue is so good. I feel like every single line is just thought out well. I think the cinematography is beautiful. I think the soundtrack, and more importantly, the theme song is amazing. The characters all have a meaning in the film, and they all have a conclusion that's amazing. And the ending is one of the greatest endings of all time. I think it might be the greatest ending to a movie of all time, where, you know, you see his wife going up like, "What did you do this? Did you actually kill him?" He's like, "No, of course I didn't." But she walks out, and as she's walking out, you could just see a small frame of him in there just talking business, and she knows, like, my husband's changed forever. And right before she can even, like, as she's saying that in her head, and as you're coming to the conclusion of what that's what she's thinking, a guy comes up and closes the door, and that's the movie. It's just such a perfect ending to see a man change like Michael Corleone. And I almost love the scene where Vito's like, "I never wanted this for you," right before he dies. I just think this movie's so perfect. I think it adds so much, and it's a 53-year-old movie, and it still is so important today. And I know a lot of people are cliche of this movie, and like it's the kind of cliche great movie of all time. A lot of people like think they're film experts after watching this. Like, "Oh, I watched The Godfather. I'm so smart. I know everything. I know cinema." I understand there's a big rebel that's towards that. A lot of people like hate this movie because of those reasons. Like, "Oh, this is not a great movie of all time. It's boring." Like, yes, but if you really just get down to this, you really get down to the basics of this movie, you forget about the notion, you forget about everything. At the end of the day, this was a movie that was filmed and recorded in 1972 and released in theater, and it changed for movies forever, changed characters forever. Films would not be how it is today if it wasn't for this movie. And also, it was doing the first movie to actually kick off one of the greatest movie genres, which is the mafia mob movies. So I love this film. I'm going to give this movie a 9.8. I know it's not a 10 out of 10. The only reason why it's not 10 out of 10 for me is because I think there's some movies that haven't 10 out of 10 that I do not think belongs in that category. Because I think 10 out of 10, it can't be one movie like you like it more than that other one. I think a 10 out of 10, each movie in 10 out of 10 needs to be, you need to be able to make a case in your head that it's better. And I only have 3 movies of 10 out of 10, which I'm not going to say now. I'm probably going to make a ranking of top 100 movies of all time for me. There's still a lot of movies I need to watch, so I'm kind of waiting on that. But this is definitely a top 10 movie of all time, maybe top 5. So I'm going to give it 9.8, as you guys saw on my graph there. So yeah, that's basically what I say about The Godfather. I think it's great. And then I will review a lot of older movies in the 70s if you guys want to see that. And The Godfather 2, which it's very rough for me to say what one's better. I think objectively Godfather 2 is better, but I think personally I think I like Godfather 1 more, just because it's a little bit more simpler. But Godfather 2, oh my gosh, that is something. And we can kind of leave Godfather 3 wherever that happened there. The best thing about Godfather 3 was it added funny lines in Sopranos. That's literally it.
Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in. I thought I was out, they pulled me back in.
But anyway, thank you for watching this review. Let me know what you guys thought about The Godfather in the comments down below. I have more reviews about all movies, all shows from the future, from the past, from the present coming out soon. Well, not really the future, but Marty McFly. See you guys next time. My name is guys. Peace out.
Look at all them muscles, my boy. Gay?